The play will begin in 5 moments, the mindless voice announced. All those unseated will await the next show. As we were seated and darkened, the voice continued. The play for this evening is something new. To enjoy this entertainment through and through, switch off all your mobile devices.
You're lost, little girl. You're lost, little girl. You're lost, tell me who are you? Think that you know what to do. Impossible, yes, but it's true. Awake. Shake dreams from your hair, my pretty child, my sweet one. Choose the day and choose the sign of your day, the day's divinity.
There is a click in the darkness, a tiny flame. Then the air is heavy with psychedelic poison. Her spine shivers. He is here again, with his deadly smile and his soft drawl. She always marvels at how his beauty hangs effortlessly from his cheekbones. He tells her tall tales of all things forbidden in smooth whispers. She feigns shock, which makes him laugh. Never for a moment does she forget that this is a seduction. One night, she'll let his charm win over her cowardice. She always assumed she'd never be his type, then realized there's no point in second-guessing someone so impulsive. Sometimes he sings.
I love you the best, better than all the rest. I love you.
Honey dripping down sandpaper, and she is helpless. He smells like the heavy decadence of graveyard flowers. He always asks for whiskey. She can hear it filling his veins, sucking the life out of him. But there's no chance in hell she can refuse those wild eyes. Every time he strolls back into the ether, keeping his secrets behind his knowing grin, she feels like she is wiser. Then his songs come through the white noise radio crackles, and she forgets he is a ghost. She lives vibrant for the length of those songs and dances with abandon. As if his lingering words have cast a spell she cannot shake off until time is done with itself. It was always this way with him. My teenage crush, my daring inspiration, my first and unrelenting obsession. James Douglas Morrison, otherwise known as Jim Morrison, 1943 to 1971, American poet and lead singer of The Doors. A band who could write a catchy pop tune, a band who could play the blues along with the best of them, but whose particular talent lay in moody, psychedelic rock that grabs your groin, bursts your brain cells, makes your heart beat faster and deeper. A band who could break you and put you back together, darker. A band famous for the song Light My Fire. He was famous for wearing black leather trousers, getting arrested on stage, and a drug-related death in a bathtub in Paris at the prophetic age of 27. Had he lived, he would have been 80 years old this December. And of course, not forgetting that concert in Miami, culminating in shocked fans insisting before a high court judge that yes, they had indeed seen Mr. Morrison expose his genitals, despite the fact he was only teasing, or as he described it, putting an end to his image in one glorious evening. And though the American media would have had you believe he was a degenerate heathen who would grind his groin against your innocent daughters, he didn't take his fame all that seriously, though he got lost in it for a while. He liked to shock, but there was substance to it. He was more interested in blowing your mind, raising your consciousness, introducing you to that dark, primitive voice at the back of your mind. The one you try to ignore for the sake of a quiet life. He was all about beautiful noise. We could be so good together. Yeah, so good together. We could be so good together. Yeah, we could. I know we could. Poet and hellraiser, bedhopper and alcoholic, visionary and clown. It was always this way with him. Ever since I was played the best of the Doors at 16, I was ready but too young in my awkward bones for that raw beast of music, that dark whisper of sex, a more exciting future curled around his hips. Do you remember when you stopped being a child? Stopped liking what everyone around you liked and discovered someone who felt like they were made for you. And suddenly you were someone different and nothing would ever be the same again. Do you remember discovering that person? Who was it for you? Who was the band, the singer who changed your life? Who was it for you? Who was the band that changed your life? Anyone want to tell me? It's okay. Radiohead. Good choice. How about you? It's okay. I won't bite. Velvet Underground. How about anyone up there? What was the band, the music that changed your life? Meatloaf. Wow. Whew. Radiohead, Velvet Underground, and Meatloaf. Very good choices. But this is my show, so this show is all about him, because he was that for me. He can unleash me. As I let it all flow away when we are alone together, just his voice, my bones, and the music. And every New Year's Eve, you'll find me far away from the party, dancing to light my fire in its entirety like no one else exists. Head back, limbs flinging, hot feet barely saving my bones from falling, and the sky could be howling, the ground could be shaking, and I wouldn't notice. Just that distinct, heady ecstasy, just the poet and the passion, and nothing else can get through. Eyes closed to lies, every cell wide open, raw like a broken melody. This is how I love you. I came of age to the devil's best tunes and realized I wasn't and never would be an angel or a heathen. I would rebel in my own way. Before my discovery, I had lived a quiet life. Never gone anywhere on my own, never attempted to forge my own destiny, never made a single decision that wasn't based on everything remaining familiar. And suddenly, I couldn't conform anymore. I realized I could be braver than this. He had forged his own erratic destiny, and it had all ended in Paris, so I had to go to Paris. A gym pilgrimage. I found a tacky, all-inclusive tour, a tourist trek around the cafes he frequented when he wanted to forget the sharp, lusty evenings and be a poet again. We eagerly took snapshots of the hotel balconies he used to hang off in his consistent dares with death. And of course, none of it would have been complete without the ubiquitous tribute band concert. I was right at the front, my first mosh pit. I could see his imitator's receding hairline. Later, I clocked him rolling up microphone cable. He was called Nigel. The brief, unraveling release inside me coiled up again, but none of it disappointed me. It just made the untouchable more familiar. Because for some reason I couldn't articulate, I walked the streets my poet walked, and I missed him. As if we had met and shared and bled together. And I knew then why I'd always been a little sad. Why I'd never been content with the mind-numbing mass designed to drown the soul. Why the discontent under those chords didn't frighten me. He would say, never be complete, never be finished, never be content to let lies latch to your core, always demand more. And finally, I understood where I fitted in. Between the jagged edges of a more subtle kind of darkness, a more fragile kind of beauty.
Take the highway to the end of the night, end of the night, end of the night. Take a journey to the bright midnight, end of the night, end of the night. Realms of bliss, realms of light. Some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to the endless night. End of the night. End of the night. End of the night. End of the night.
On the coach, on the way back from the concert, a middle-aged superfan confided in me through his drunken slurring, I'm not gay, yeah, but I totally would have fucked him. He was just fucking beautiful. I love him. Do you know what I mean? As weird as this confession might sound to an outsider, I knew he was telling me because he knew I would get it just by being there. And I did. My friend at school was always obsessing over one frontman or another, dumping Kurt Cobain for Jarvis Cocker in a heartbeat, and I just found it embarrassing. Now, I understood. The only difference was my spine-firing rebel had burnt out long before I was made, back when the world was still raw and wild. I couldn't believe anyone could be that wild, so uninhibited, so uncontainable, so untouchable.
I tell you this, I don't know what's gonna happen, man, but I want to have my kicks before the whole shithouse goes up in flames. All right.
Because he didn't give two shits. He liked to stir shit up. He liked to get off his face. He liked to fuck everyone. He had no respect for authority. And yet, to listen to his soft-spoken intelligence in interviews, his amused bafflement about his image, you'd never believe it could be the same person. I couldn't believe someone could be so familiar and so alien to me at the same time.
I think of myself as an intelligent, sensitive human being with the soul of a clown, which always forces me to blow it at the most important moments.
It took Paris to make me wild. There is a photo of me outside Le Chat Noir Cafe, sprawled over the lap of a geeky fanboy, looking like we are just about to do the deed in a seedy alleyway. And maybe we would have done. Because for once, I was in the kind of mood to walk my talk. It was the only night of my life where you could have described my behavior as brazen.
I'm a spy in the house of love. I know the dream that you're dreaming of. I know the word that you long to hear. I know your deepest secret fear.
The morning after the concert, I brought flowers to Jim's grave and cried as if he wasn't a stranger. His grave is the only grave in the world under 24-hour CCTV surveillance. I think he would have loved the irony. sunlight trickled over the monuments of the old illustrious dead. Elaborate tombstones trashed with graffiti from fellow seekers trying for an ounce of dangerous beauty. He lived life brazen, and we couldn't look away. He went wild without apologizing, and we bask and sway in bacchanalian ecstasy because people we have no respect for don't get it. We listen to records made before we were born because it's not like the bad old days we can only imagine, where the devil could strut around shameless in black leather, claim your daughters with a grin, confuse your sons with a head flick, enrage men in suits with dirty descants. We know who we are because of his blood, howling, mangled word, wisdom, skin still tingling from fire dances. This horde feels like a family I never have to explain myself to. All I have are photographs, but my cells remember I was there. I was there in a place of death, and I was elated. I was there among strangers, and I knew what made them hunger without a word. I cried at a poet's grave as if he wrote the words for me alone. And I danced the chaos from my twitching bones as the evening crept back down the alleyways, and for one night, I was fearless.
You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures here.
I wasn't fearless in the way most of my companions were. Jesus. Hanging off hotel balconies drunk, yelling to Paris to break on through as if its inhabitants cared. There are definitely two types of Doors fans. Ones who have watched a sensationalized Oliver Stone movie and think that dicing with death and being an arsehole is the best way to worship their divine hellraiser. Then there are fans like me. Less about debauchery and more about poetry. That's what he was doing it for, when his veins were clear of the poison. And of course, I admit it, lust was a factor. Because even when Greek god morphed into beard and beer belly, he was still the most beautiful man I have ever seen. Dionysus incarnate. Androgynous James Dean rebel appeal. Elvis, if he'd never been repackaged as wholesome. Sexy as fuck. He was made for Paris. And it felt like Paris was made for me. The art, literature, architecture, poetry. I wandered around the Louvre in awe for hours. I fell asleep to the soft whispering of nuns in Sacré-Cœur. I got accosted by pigeons in the oldest square in the city and couldn't break up my baguette quick enough and imagined headlines about the elusive English pigeon choker. I wrote the kind of poetry everyone tries to write when they're in Paris. Cruising along a ferry down the Seine, my scarf billowing in the wind, all very French, before the moment was broken by, "You want some beef jerky, Hank?" Who comes all the way to Paris? Paris, yeah, the most sophisticated city in the world, and eats beef fucking jerky. I finished my poem off later in McDonald's. I decided I didn't want to go home yet, that I could be braver than this. This other girl did too, and we decided to stay while everyone else went home. This is the actual list I made of reasons why I should stay or go. Reasons to stay. Why not? It is my birthday. I haven't seen everything. I don't have work till Sunday. Someone else is staying. Reasons to go home. Cheaper. Safer. It's like I heard him whispering in my ear, giving me permission. Fuck safe. There is no safe. So I stayed. And we drank white wine under a lit-up Eiffel Tower on my birthday, before getting caught in a thunderstorm and hijacking some random guy's taxi. In different company, it could have been one of those perfect Parisian romantic moments, but this was better. Above the Shakespeare & Co. bookshop, I would see my first performance poets. It would be a while before I worked up the nerve to try it myself. I would daydream about meeting Jim outside some quaint cafe and exchanging notebooks. He would say I had potential, but I should stop imitating his style and find my own voice. Because I was still shooting the black wolf moon with blood instead of telling the truth. It's just, he could say the unsayable so much better than me. Like, to be fair though, some of his poetry is really weird. Like, I don't think even he has a clue what he's on about because he's clearly off his face on acid. But some of it is hands down sublime.
Death makes angels of us all and gives us wings where we had shoulders smooth as raven's claws.
Oh, gorgeous. I don't know what it means, but that's what I like about it. Whatever you decide. I used to own every lost notebook of his psychedelic ramblings. I say own as if I bought them. I shoplifted them. I was young, I was confused, I was going through stuff, I was really skint. I needed his poetry to take life's sting away. I guess some of his rebelliousness rubbed off on me after all. I used to own every digitally remastered live album, every random homage compilation. I poured through every no holes barred, he loved me most, meet the real Jim Morrison expose by some groupie who thought she owned a piece of his soul. I got that. The urge to possess a part of the untouchable idol and make him human, vulnerable. I owned every crass t-shirt, every posturing poster. I went too far. But he wouldn't have begrudged me my excesses. Maybe just been a little bit embarrassed, by the subject matter.
I can see your face in my mind. I can see your face in my mind. Carnival dogs consume the line. Can see your face in my mind.
I'd like to think, if I'd ever met him for real, I could have been aloof, nonchalant. But in truth, I know I would have been a quivering mess, a stammering fool, terrified I had a tiger by the tail, not brave enough to see it through. See, you should never meet the eyes of the one you idolize. They will always be inevitably ordinary, just like you. Bubbles need bursting eventually, I guess, and it's just as well, because it's a decadent kind of hell to get what you want and do what you will. And if I ever needed proof of that, I think of you, adored, misjudged, devoured, coughing up your guts in a Parisian nightclub, alone, the world on fire.
Going back in all directions, sleeping these insane hours. I'll never wake up in a good mood again.
I guess I envied him. I couldn't imagine him ever being scared of anything. It took me a long time to figure out that just because you can snake your way through a horde of worshippers who want to tear you to pieces, just because you can pop any pill, just because you can work your way through a town of young, adoring women every night of your life, just because you can stick it to the man, even when he's cuffing you on stage, just because you can be brazen, doesn't mean you don't know fear. That you don't get that cold, mocking voice whispering in your ear that you have been found out, found wanting, that you have missed something and there is no going back. The heights we demand our heroes soar to, the budding dreams we abandon until they rot. The awkward idols we live our desire through because we think they can do what we cannot. He was the exact opposite of me. He would point his groin to the nearest party, saunter in as if it was held in his honor, toss his hair to make sure everyone noticed, and announce, "Somebody get me some drugs, man. And before we wrestle with the darkest recesses of our psyches, who wants to fuck me?" Don't get me wrong, it's no way to behave. Had I been at said party and witnessed that, I would have thought, who is that prick? But that's the beauty of creating your own version of events. People. It's safe. I'm in my early 40s. I spend the majority of my evenings colouring in my bedroom, listening to podcasts, dancing to the Doors when I need to vent, not so different from what I used to do when I was a teenager. I once bullied myself into putting a profile up on plentyoffish.com, and I was so distraught by the self-imposed pressure, I took it down the next day. On the rare occasions when I do let myself lose control and go out dancing, if some guy tries to chat me up, I just pretend I didn't see him and I just keep dancing because I have had my fill of ambiguity and ego. And yeah, you're really funny, but I don't want to fuck you. I dance until my anxiety is a sheen of sweat on my skin, until my lungs are heaving up music, until I don't care about him and the other one and the one who really fucked me over, but I just let him have his way, but it's okay because I'm totally over it. I dance until I feel as wild as my rock god, the one who's never let me down or challenged me. And it's the only time I don't worry about all the damage I must be doing, because this, whatever it is or promises to be, is just not good enough. And I wonder, what's it like? What's it like to not give a flying fuck what anybody thinks of you? What's it like to be brazen? What's it like to be you? To throw sex around so shameless? To traverse the Dionysian stars with dark, discordant melodies? It scares me how easily I would let my principles die for a chance to go back to 67, claw my way into bed with you, spread myself open and let you devour me, bite your skin and taste pure, soft chaos and stagger home a happy slut, drunk on sexual anarchy, not giving two shits if the world thinks I'm a spoilt brat for wanting more, everything.
What everyone should say is the medium is the message and the message is me. I mean, that's the answer, is for everyone to, you're asking for an answer. The answer is for everyone to stand up and say, I'm me, and be fully aware of that fact and let everyone else know it, that you are yourself, and express it.
I've never been able to do that without a character and a costume and set lines written by someone else who wasn't afraid to go there. I've never had a rebel heart. So I chose a different rebel to break me away from confines and conditioning and the mundane grey of the same day on repeat. The irony was, I wanted psychedelia without the mescaline. Hippies without the free love and protests. Danger without the consequences. Jim got me into some seriously inappropriate literature for a shy teenage girl living in the West Country. It made me feel so rebellious and badass, maybe even a little smug. But I never shared. It was too powerful, personal, provocative. It was mine. In a world where everyone wanted to know what was going on inside my head so they could catch me out. He got me into Greek mythology, the violent family sagas, the forbidden taboos, the downright unnerving things human beings felt compelled to do with animals. I cast him as my Dionysus, hoping he would saunter into my quiet seaside town with a nymph on each arm and make the streets run with wine and drive everyone mad so something would finally happen.
Girl, left all alone, playing solitaire, playing warden to your soul. You are locked in a prison of your own device, and you can't believe what it does to me. See you
I couldn't imagine him ever being lonely, though of course he was. Some of his behaviour screamed out. I couldn't imagine him ever being lonely the way I'd always been, crystallised in a moment in Paris when I sat on a bridge and watched couple after couple lounging over each other and cried because I was seething with envy and no idea how to just be whoever it is you just need to be when you just want to be yourself, for fuck's sake, and for it to be good enough. I guess that's why I chose a man to play all of this through instead of a feminist icon. A man who was enticing, yet completely out of reach. A man who would never look at me with eyes that said, if only you weren't quite so desperate, maybe this could go somewhere.
You should go speed dating. It's fun.
Minefield of humiliation and fakery.
Everyone does online dating sites now.
Oh, what, so you can pay the internet for the privilege of being sleazed over?
Fuck feelings. Just go on Tinder and get a hookup. It's not some big romantic mystery. It's just shagging.
That's more terrifying than falling in love, in my opinion.
Why?
There's nothing desirable about it for me. It's more like invasion. Intimacy seems like a big ask, and everyone just goes on about how you should just let these things happen naturally.
It won't feel like that with the right person.
Oh, and let me guess, to meet this right person, I have to...
Put yourself out there.
On the meat market.
You're too dismissive, too shy, think too much, take it too seriously.
It is serious. It's gone on too long. I'm too far behind. I'm too shy. I'm too vulnerable. You guys make it look so easy.
There's nothing to be scared of. Why are you so scared of men?
I'm not scared of men. It's just hard to trust. I thought I was wanted, you know, that he felt the same. We were getting on so well. Charming, easy smiles, subtle cruelties. But it turns out I was the other girl, the easier girl, the shoulder to moan on about some better girl. Oh, I know my own worth now, finally. But it doesn't change it. This is all I get, over and over. I should just be more like Jim Morrison. There's the door, asshole. Next! Fuck's sake. What's the point? Why do it to yourself?
Deep down, you must think you don't deserve any better. But you do.
Do I?
Who do you imagine yourself with? What do you actually want?
What do I actually want? What do I actually want? To stop feeling like The only man who understands how I feel is a dead rock star from the 60s who, for all his creative daring, was a bit of an arsehole, actually. I want his rebel soul fist kisses sliding over my shiver heart like a lover. The wind that's broken me up to hurl me back together into a new shape.
Makes sense.
Oh, I'm just so sick of thinking about this shit all the time. You guys are lucky. You've had something to go on that wasn't awkwardness and awkwardness, indifference, and anxiety. You got some nerve, cultivated some intelligent armor. You grew up. There is the state of Zen. Then there is the state of men. These two things do not go together. I know, because my bedroom is a haven to inner peace. Buddha smiling serenely by my window next to my second-hand floral meditation chair, where I sit and let my neurosis leak away into the air, but it's all in vain tonight. Tonight, there is a man in my room, taking up space in a way that subtly excites me, scanning my bookshelves with a knowing grin because it pleases him to know I wasn't making it up when I exclaimed confidently that we are into the same cool stuff. Centre stage on my back wall, there is a poster of a dead rock star. I hope he knows me well enough by now to know I find the men on my wall a little easier to navigate after they've blown my mind, lit up my smile, shook up my heart. There is a storm outside, the kind that demands your attention, though we are both distracted. It hurls water at the window at such a rapid rate it reminds you you should never try and predict what's coming, though it would be so much easier if you could. I'm trying to think of a way of explaining that this storm is nothing compared to the one in my head, but it does no good. Nothing comes, and Buddha just smiles. Like all those other people who make this stuff look so easy. The bed on my room takes up most of the space, though we are both meandering around it meticulously as if it's an elephant we've both decided is harmless as long as we don't look it in the face. But like the storm outside, cracking the sky with light, it is insisting upon its presence being duly noted, and I almost give in to my urge to suddenly fling him onto it with a wild abandon, as if I have a femme fatale under this shivering skin, and say in a sexy, nonchalant, the way Jim Morrison would play it way, why not? We're just people, right? And this is what people do, isn't it? They do stuff to each other on beds that's supposed to be fun, apparently. But I don't say a word. As he picks up things that are precious to me with a delicacy I desperately want to mean something other than he is careful with things that break easily. There is a pillow on my bed, just one. It's flat, so flat, you'd think I'd like torturing myself. I don't. I'm just very particular. Too high, and I'll get neck ache and lie awake, replaying these moments until they mean something. I'm all about practicality. Why take optimistic turns? There is a storm outside after all, and optimism is a slippery mistress, and rain doesn't always cool you down. Sometimes it just burns. I don't know how to explain why I have suddenly stopped the easy conversation, because we are about to slide into dangerous territory where just by dropping hints, I feel like I'm begging to get broken, incapable of inviting an intimacy I crave that simultaneously terrifies me. See, there is a storm outside inside my head, but I can still laugh and joke easily so he can leave knowing no more about me than he did when he walked in, and I'll be relieved I didn't make a fool of myself again. Good for me. Good that I didn't give him the chance to preempt my insanity, because I know how this ends. Precisely. For some reason, he'll never feel the need to share. He'll start flirting with me, and I'll get too excited and start flirting back, and before you know it, I'll be his shoulder to cry on when she cheats on him again, because damn it, I'm so good at that. I'm so laid back. I'm so funny. You're really understanding. You never pressure me. You're so intelligent and nurturing. You're kind of like a cool auntie. I know this as if I planned it, as if it's actually the way I want it. He'll end up shacked up with some stunning flame-haired French philosophy student who plays the guitar and the piano and the harp with such effortless grace. I'd rather gouge my own eyes out than have to look her in the face, and she'll adore him madly while seeming totally aloof. And he'll totally dig that, because it's just more proof that she gets him and she gets him, and I die alone eaten by cats, and not just any cats, my own cats who have avenged my neglectful betrayal and were ironically the only friends I had left, because the rest are so sick of my whining, my inferiority complex and complete inability to stand up for myself. My defeated, neurotic pining because there was a man in my room, and I was momentarily happy that I let him walk away. See, the storm outside is nothing compared to the one in my head, but I always break my umbrellas either way. The subtle crimes we commit on single pillows, the delicate secrets we hide at the back of the shelf, the things we cannot say. I keep forgetting that if you never actually open your fucking mouth at the time and speak your truth, you're just making assumptions and fueling your own self-loathing. I forget that no one has a goddamn clue who they really are. How could they?
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are
I want to be him, okay? For 5 fucking minutes, I'd like to know how good it feels to stick your dick into life with no thought for tomorrow, no regrets, no self-censorship because you're scared everything's going to go wrong as soon as you let go. I want to be wild and confusing and contradictory. I want to be an object of desire and fascination and fear. I want to piss people off and then charm them into apologizing to me. I want to trash the hotel room of my cowardice and not give a fuck if I hurt your feelings, because you sure as shit didn't give a shit. Fuck that you hurt mine, did you? Hot shot. No, because you're too busy sticking your dick into life with no thought for tomorrow, no regrets. Oh, you see where this is going. No, I don't want to be a horny rock star or an angry bitch or a broken eternal teenager, just like everyone else. I don't want to be alone. Because
the future's uncertain and the end is always near.
Fuck it. Fuck this shit. I can be wild. You think I can't be wild? Let's get wild! Socks as well? Fuck it. I'm a rebel. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll keep you wild on the road, you hang
Cheers.
upon the wheel. I'll keep you wild on the road,
Oh
you
my
hang
God, that's
upon
vile.
the wheel.
How did you drink this every day, you crazy bastard?
Come to the
Come on.
road that's gonna have a
Come on!
real good time.
Oh,
Yeah, back to the road.
come on. Oh, God. Oh.
That's where the people like to go down slow. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll.
All night long.
Yeah, man, come on.
Could you just help me? Thank you so much. What's your favourite band? Radiohead, yeah, that's right, yeah. Oh well, can't have them all. Oh, thank you. Radiohead. I mean, they're all right, but a bit depressing, aren't they? A bit joyless. A bit emo. Well, it's a bit awkward. I guess the point I'm trying to make is there are many ways to be rebellious. You can reuse yesterday's bus ticket. You can have peanut butter with your roast dinner. You can steal books way beyond your maturity level and then sell them back to the same second-hand bookshop you stole them from. I actually did that. Well, they should have installed CCTV. Or you can simply be yourself. Whether that self wants to colour in mythical beasts when she could be throwing herself at dating apps because the world seems determined to make perpetual singletons feel like freaks of nature. Or you can incite a riot at a crowded concert hall in Miami by calling your audience a bunch of shit-eating slaves for reasons he never saw fit to explain, and why the fuck should he? I'm not apologising for finding a man who has been dead for years completely enticing and devastatingly attractive, because the ones in front of me have been noticeably lacking in things he excelled in. Authenticity, bravery, curiosity. Don't get me wrong, he would have driven me mad. He would have been terrible boyfriend material. I would have had the time of my life in seductively addictive fits and starts, over way too quickly and never quite feeling real. I would have been helpless and besotted and enraged. Look at him. Fucking poser. See what you made me do? Never again.
When the music's over, when the music's over, yeah. When the music's over, turn up the lights, turn up the lights.
You can be rebellious in your tiny or monumental ways. You can choose your battles. You just need to remember that you're still essentially going to be the same person when you wake up the next day, with the same potential to change the world, or just yourself, just for you and no one else. And that's fine. That's a relief. That's why I love this man, this band. They get it. It's not 3-chord pop you can just put on in the background and ignore. It's not easy. It's dark. It's ballsy. It's music to devour as you sweat out your shame someplace else. To ride to under the moonlight like ancient Greece is right here. In the seediest dive, in the blackest alley, in a town you don't know the name of, because you told the stranger you got in with to just keep driving until he reaches the apocalyptic party at the end of all this ugliness. They name that fear. They celebrate that fact. After that trip to Paris, I was different. Not in any obvious, noticeable way, but my blood was a little hotter. My mouth a little bolder. My ingrained sense of my own darkness a little harder to ignore. I guess I missed him because I could never thank him for it. For teaching me how to be wild in my own unique way. For being a new Dionysus, for a generation who just needed to let their hair down and get dark and dirty and dangerous. For courting chaos and teetering on the edge until fear became just another idea to throw around until it disappeared. He taught me that real wildness begins in the mind. Real art is raw. Real life is beautiful and brutal and ridiculous all at once. And if you walk away scarless, it's because you could have done with being a little more brazen. That's why, when it all gets too much, I turn up their sensual, thundering crescendos and forget.
You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire. The time to hesitate is through. No time to wallow in the mire. Try now, we can only lose. And our love become a funeral pyre. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire.
When it hits you like thunder, when you thought the sky was sleeping, like your lungs have grown wings, when you shake and you shake your limbs, rattle out the rancid ramblings you spin on repeat, when you just can't help but devour the heady, delicious beat, the heartbeat of the world and the heartbeat of my own private universe in perfect time. It belongs to everyone, but it always feels like it's mine. When it is the way it is, and if you don't like it, tough. But you have found the solution when reality just isn't good enough, and when you turn it up, time is a slave to your hands clapping, and you are wet between your brain cells, and hell is a silence that flows down your soul like acid rain when you heard it for the first time and knew you'd never be the same again, when every time is like the first time and time is a slave to your limbs flinging, singing the masks away when you sway like a maniac who has gate crashed a party that's been in full swing since the oldest mountains were scraps of stardust, when it pulls you and pushes you to the edge, but you decide when to jump. I want to die dancing to this song. Feel that split-second sting in my heartstrings before I hit the ground with those familiar soothing melodies inducing resurrection rhapsodies. There's no end to it. Just press play over and over. I want this crescendo tattooed on my bones. I want to die dancing to this song, and it won't be a tragedy. It will be sublime, because those sizzling notes stitched into my spine remind me to walk tall, resplendent, fearless, brazen, let them stare. As you sweat out your cynicism with every glorious swipe of your flesh through the electric air, when you just don't care anymore, that every imagined Hollywood ending was in vain, that no matter how intricate your fantasies, it was always going to turn out the same. Nothing, no one to warm your heart shivers, but don't I always choose to stand in the firing line? It's fine, it's fine. Because those sizzling notes stitched into my spine make me stronger every time you flash me those impossible smiles. So just shut the fuck up and dance with me. Ambiguous platitudes drowning in the gorgeous ear throng. Are you too proud to make a fool of yourself? To drop the posturing for a single song where you can get gone with your big pretty eyes? I'm done adoring your aloofness. This song knows me with an intimacy you'll never be ready for. I soar and I'm not coming back down. Not for you. You can't compete with a heady, delicious, dangerous beat. The heartbeats of the world in my own private universe in perfect time. No one can steal this piece of me, this piece from me. It's mine. 'Cause I don't care when every strand of my hair down to the tips of my toes basks in the audio glory of my ego's death throes. When you shake and you sway and fling your failures into effervescent spirals and make the cosmos envious when it hits your spine, and you shudder when it hits you like love. The kind of love that lingers even after 1,000 repeats, when it hits your spine and you shudder like tomorrow doesn't matter, like nothing lasts forever, but this rhythm never falters, never fails to lift me out of craving and aversion and let balance prevail. Never fails when life tries its nastiest tricks to break me. This is my warrior dance. Come at me with all you've got. Take me. I am ruthless and raw. I am flowing on forevers and I can only get higher. Come on, baby, light my fire. No time to wallow. I swallow every note whole of my soul. Sings when it pulls you and ripples out to the edge, and you want nothing more than to fall. This is what we live for. I want to die dancing to this song, because even though it belongs to everyone, it always feels like it's mine. I want to die a second after the cymbals clash, and it won't be a tragedy. It will be sublime.
The time to hesitate is through. No time to wallow in the mire. Try now, we can only lose, and our love become a funeral pyre. Come on, baby, light my fire.
Come dance with me.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire. You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on 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 fire.
Thank you and good night.
There will never be another one like you. There will never be another one you can